So, welcome to IBC 2024 and the show Ateliers on Track with Ateliere Creative Technologies, the show that we produce at the show. And I'm Johan Bolin, I'm the host, and with me today I have G. From a company we all read about more or less every day nowadays, NVIDIA.
Correct.
So, G, first, how does it feel to work in a company that, according to a lot of analysts, are more influential on the market than the Federal Reserve?
I don't know. I've been working 10 years at NVIDIA, so it still feels the same to me.
Good. So you haven't got like high on the success. So it's today.
Well, NVIDIA is made a lot about passionate people that are passionate about technology, and so that what made me stay in this company, and it seems to be still the case. So if we're successful, that's great, but it's mostly about the technology and the passion, and so that's still there to me.
That's good. I think actually that's one of the things I appreciate with NVIDIA, that even your CEO seems to be a passionate engineer, right? So
he is, and very involved in technology, speaking with principal engineers, having exchanges with researchers, as well as business people, etc. But yeah, he's an engineer, passionate guy at the core.
That's great. And you are here because NVIDIA are increasingly looking into how we can use your products within media and broadcast, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
And as a matter of fact, we do this very production right now on NVIDIA chipsets. So the production we are doing right now is on Atelier Live, and this is a product that uses NVIDIA, and that's why we get this, hopefully, very sharp images, and we can do a lot of cameras at a very, very low footprint, which is good both from a financial and sustainability perspective, right? So Guillaume, or G, I have a couple of statements here on a paper that are related to cloud and maybe more cloud than AI actually, or more cloud than GPUs as such. But I still think they are very relevant for you because you are very important in the contributing with technology to the cloud. The first statement I would like to know if you share or if you sympathize with is, in 5 years all broadcast production will be done in the cloud.
Should I use a sign?
Yes, you can use the sign if you think it's a yes or a no. Actually, I think it's a no as well. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think the cloud will always be there, but I think there will be companies that want to be mostly cloud, company that wants to be mostly on-prem, will still positioning cloud any way they want. It used to be one way. Now it's multiple way. It goes from on-prem to the cloud to on-prem back. The other could be another on-prem, another location. So I feel like the future is more about finally getting the same infrastructure, software, the same software infrastructure on-prem and in the cloud, and let customer decide. Some will say, I want to be full cloud, and here and there I'm going to have hardware because I need them. And some other are going to say, well, I want to own it. I want to repurpose my hardware on-prem, and still will need the cloud to burst in any other location if they want to be there.
Yeah.
But the core to me is not so much about, it's more about software defined.
Yeah. So maybe we have last few years a little bit confused the concept or rather how you architect software with where you deploy software. Yeah. And cloud, you kind of confused this a little bit, because with cloud we kind of both means how we develop and build software products, and we also mean sometimes where we run the software in the end. And what you are saying is that if you have built your software in such a way that if you will following a cloud architecture, there are several use cases where it actually might make more sense to run at least part of the software on-prem.
Correct. So, it's also historical. Cloud was the first one. So we say cloud native because they were the first one looking at software-defined or microservices. But actually, nothing prevents you from running exactly the same software infrastructure on-prem.
Yep.
So, and they've been the first pushing, so they have the recognition for doing that the first historically, and so that's why the understanding is kind of mixed, but actually you can do both on-prem and in the cloud, software defined. And I think the flexibility of the cloud should be left to customer that decide whenever and how they'd like to have in the cloud or on premise.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. And would you also, I mean, could one also say that, there's been a lot of talk about cloud and hybrid cloud and on-prem and so on, that if you build an entire live production stack as an example, maybe there simply are some parts of that stack that make more sense to put on-prem, so it's less a religious decision, it's more a result of what's simply most efficient, and put some processing perhaps on-premise close to the camera and close to the content, and other part of the processing you put that in the cloud because that's where you need elasticity and so on.
Yeah, and it's also going to be a personal choice, but I agree. There are places where you want to have edge, processing. And I think what actually is great about Ateliere Live is this vision of combining different sensors that comes from different grades. Today there are two nightmares. There is the on-prem versus cloud, which are different infrastructure.
Yeah.
But also you have to deal with different types of cameras, and being able to manage cheap camera, but with also timing synchronization at core, with the same way you do with professional camera, and have that in a hybrid environment, not only cloud on-prem, but also quick on-the-go cameras, compressed media with professional uncompressed media camera, and all of that in a hybrid production is actually something I personally love about Ateliere Live.
Yeah, no, so I think we are obviously strong believers in that. There's a lot of technology out there today that has been developed for different purposes, but since all technology have improved so much in quality, you can typically use today a lot of technology that was initially designed for consumer purposes, even for professional productions and professional purposes. So I think that's very true. And I think also back to this idea with hybrid cloud, isn't it so that one of the advantages of having a part of the processing running in the cloud is if you run something in the cloud, you will have a lot of AI capabilities just next to you. Maybe that's one of the things that might be difficult to put on-prem, and you want to have some of that in the cloud. Or what do you think?
I think both will exist because, so GPU in the cloud can be accessible or not depending on, the need for, large language model or ChatGPT. So we actually have customer that wants to invest in having render farms or cluster with GPU on-prem because, and obviously that won't be the full production, but they can decide what they run on it very flexibly, and they have all the they can procure whatever they need, and then they can burst to the cloud when needed. So it's not going to be, yes, it's great to have GPU power. We believe that on the edge, in the cloud, but also on-prem, and then it's just a matter of where does it matter to you and what flexibility you want to get. It remains software defined, same software infrastructure, and then deploy where it makes sense depending on your priorities, I would say.
So I have another statement here on my list, and this is something that we have discussed actually prior to this, so I think I know what you will answer. But if you look at cloud and broadcast, would you say that from a technology perspective we have all the technology we need to move broadcast to the cloud, or are there any areas that still would need to be worked on? So I guess the question is, or the statement is, we have all the technology we need. Do you think so, or don't you think so?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think that's good. I mean, now we are engineers, we're exactly biased, right? We would be out of a job if we said yes. So I tend to agree. So would you like to elaborate on that? What are you seeing as the kind of the white spots?
Yeah, by the way, we're seeing that. So we announced at IBC production readiness for Holoscan for media, which is essentially software-defined architecture for live media. Something that's missing today is, so we have 2110, ST2110, and we have compressed media, and we have way to dynamically connect them. We don't have a standard to transfer asynchronous buffer fastest way possible with a standard RDMA transfer or DMA sharing in a unified way. So we have SDKs ourselves to do DMA transfer, but something that looks like an ST2110 standard or any of the SIMT standard that could be something that instead of exchanging synchronous frames, just bursting on a network to be as fast as possible, because they are chaining, in our case, chaining AI processes. If you want to do, I don't know, color correction, and then you want to add something with generative AI, and you're adding these filters, every time you're doing that with something like ST2110, you're adding 1 frame latency.
Yeah. And
So-
also just you add capacity needed to create those frames as well. So I very much agree with that. I also think that we are still, as an industry, very inspired by how the architecture used to look years back, where we had like distinct even hardware boxes that were serialized in a chain of applications. And we tend to kind of keep that architecture also when moving to the cloud. And I think back to this discussion about how would you build the software architecture if you want really to utilize the benefits of cloud and so on. And if you did that, most likely you would design your software slightly different, because to your point, there are more efficient way of sharing, if you will, pixels between different applications than using a video format to do that.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, this also comes to the industry itself, who cares about pixel quality and delivery. So they're very cautious. And then we should bless them for doing that. So it's just, but I think with solution like Ateliere Live or platform like Holoscan for Media that we designed at NVIDIA, where we are looking forward to have your software on the platform as well soon.
Yeah.
I think we're going to make some proof statement that you can actually get that reliability that's with added flexibility and repurposability. And so we're going to be able to prove that out on the market. And then it's already proved when you have this Atelier Live solution where you can combine these different sensors and go to fully professional cameras or lower grade but still being in sync and uniform production. That's also opening mind. So I think we need to just, make some proof statement. We're after that with fully software defined and showing that you can do it. You can do it software defined. You can have the same reliability, hardware, software, network. So it's going to be for us to demonstrate that.
Absolutely. And I think this is an area where we have talked already today. We are still in the very beginning of RBC 2024, and we already talked to big players in the industry who have also acknowledged that there's work to do in how to use, if you will, the cloud resources in a smarter and better way than how we do it today, and so on. So,
yeah, there's an analogy that could be made with the automotive industry. So, if you look a few years ago, all of the cars had separate computers for the drivetrains, for the engine, fuel, it was a lot of separate dedicated processor running all of that. Tesla just replaced all of that by a central computer and an iPhone.
Yeah.
So essentially, you still have the redundancy. It's still very reliable. You can have hardware redundancy, but you've got a central computer. It's all software based. You can update it. So I feel like we're at the same moment in the broadcast industry where we have these fixed function appliances, and they're going to move to centralized cluster. Could be in the cloud, could be on-prem, could be hybrid, fully software defined. Which will give flexibility. I can get the latest hardware on my existing, the latest software on my existing hardware, or I can upgrade my hardware with my existing software. But I get more flexibility, and I decide. It's different from what the industry has been used to until now.
And I think that the analogy with the cars and Tesla is pretty good, right? Because in cars as well, it used to be that each of these dedicated, if you will, vertical subsystems with their own processing unit. First of all, the sum of the processing capacity in a car was much, much more than any of the applications could use at any given time.
Yes.
So by centralizing, you give access to much higher peak capacity, if you like, than you have if you have a lot of small subsystems. And the other part being that if you have it centralized, these different verticals can now start to talk. So you can exchange data from one system to the other and so on. And there's so much information and data also within broadcast production that is lost in the process today. And if you just could use that data, we would be able to be much more efficient and maybe even give a better user experience in some cases and so on. So I think this is a huge area, and I'm very much looking forward to address this together with you in various forums and so on to figure it out.
And as you said, provision, your needs on peak demand. Like, I've got this appliance, they're doing only encoding, not even decoding, encoding. So if I need to support the Olympics, I need to provision for that. But then when the Olympics are done, maybe I'm 50% or 80% capacity.
Yep.
Being able to have software and repurpose depending on your need, bursting to the cloud with more flexibility, that's definitely the future.
Better economy and better for our system, for our world, for nature.
Also.
More sustainable. So now, before ending this fantastic chat, we're gonna do a small TV game show inspired part of quiz in this game. I don't know, maybe you're from France, I don't know, maybe you had something similar, right? But in the UK in the 70s there were a popular game show called the Generation Show. And in that show there was a conveyor belt with different objects. And the quiz was about remembering those objects. This quiz is not about remembering the objects, but figuring out which movies these objects are from.
Okay.
So we're gonna start running more or less now, a conveyor belt, and it's gonna take 30 seconds. I think 10 objects, so pretty fast. So take some notes what you think, and then we're gonna see how many of those you nail. So we can roll the conveyor belt if we are ready. Here it goes. Oh, a horse head. What could that be?
Oh.
Some of these were a bit tricky, but I think you nailed a few, right?
I missed one.
You missed
I
one.
think,
We're gonna publish the result later, so all of you viewers, you're gonna need to, or when you see this, you will actually know the right answers. But it will be published together with us publishing the video. Guillaume?
Yeah.
G, thank you for joining me on the show, on the train, and looking forward to continue to work with you.
Thanks a lot for welcoming me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.